You've seen Good Omens.
Yeah, I have actually.
And that's good, isn't it?
Did you like it? Have you watched it all the way through?
Yeah, I've seen the whole thing now. But, I suppose the only thing very typically of that kind of thing in that the ending is the least good bit. Because they have to have a big epic ending and all that, so that's less interesting than the stuff that happens during the story, obviously.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of writing.
Yeah, but they pulled it off quite well, I think. Did you hear about the people signing the petition and sending it to Netflix?
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix didn't make it.
I think God is trolling them. I think he just moved it just so that, I mean, if they don't like that, what are they going to say about his Dark Materials? Because that's what BBC are doing.
Are they?
Yeah. I think it's out in a couple of months. That's going to be very cool.
I don't know. Don't like telly.
Television. Does that mean you've not seen Chernobyl?
No, I haven't seen Chernobyl. I haven't seen anything.
Harrowing is the word.
Did you tell me to watch that?
Yes, but don't watch it before you go to bed. It's that harrowing.
Do you know what? Someone else said, I think that was on Reasons to Be Cheerful podcast.
Possibly. Everyone's talking about how fantastic it is and best thing in the world, etc. It is really good.
He literally said he couldn't sleep because of it.
Yeah.
And they concluded that you shouldn't watch it before you go to bed.
Yeah. I'm not surprised at all. Everyone's saying it. It is that extreme, you know. What did I have to do? I had to turn it off about 8:30. Because at the same time it's like, just 5 more minutes, because I wasn't watching it as episodes. I was just watching as much as I could because it's so good. And then it's 5 minutes. It gets to about 8:30, and I'm thinking, don't really want to be thinking about this when I go to bed. So unfortunately, something happened with work or something distracted me.
So what is it? How close we were to it happening, or what would actually happen, or?
Well, it did happen, isn't it? That's the thing. It was real. That's the thing. This.
Right. Okay. So, is the worrying thing the potential of how it could have unfolded rather than?
No, how it did unfold.
Really?
Yeah, because it did. You know.
So why is it scary? We know what happened. We're all right. We're not dead.
Well, first of all, the fact that it's like a disaster movie, like a horror disaster movie, and it's real. That's the first thing. There is a thing, I think, of it could happen again, or things like that could happen again. Genuinely, you know. I think maybe there was a deliberate thing within the story, but it seems to me massive parallels with the Soviet Union and the current thing, which I don't want to say in that way. My opinions are better than your opinions. I don't care if you're an expert. I work in a shoe shop, and I'm going to call the shots now. That's the sort of anti-intellectual element of the Soviet Union, of what it had become about nobody's special. You know that my opinion is as good as your facts, and there are no facts. We make our own facts, and all that. That's terrifying. I think our image of it is to a certain extent propaganda that we were fed when we were very young. But at the same time, you're not told things. I'm sure that was in reality. It wasn't that they couldn't move around, was it? The idea that they weren't allowed to leave the Soviet Union isn't actually true, is it? I think they were allowed, but so we wouldn't allow them to travel here though. So there was a bit of that, but they didn't. So when this disaster happens, well, it's all about PR. So they've got to make sure no one knows that there's this bloody radioactive cloud blowing over Europe. But Putin said they're going to make an alternate drama about what really happened. Ooh. Where it was a CIA agent that broke in and blew up the reactor.
So who made this series?
It was on Netflix.
Right. Okay.
But it's I think it's HBO. It's an American company, I think. Yeah. So it's obviously.
I wonder, has it been made like that to sort of put people off nuclear?
It certainly does. It certainly does, and that's not a thing. And it's not about. The problem is bureaucracy and about money saving and all that stuff, and that there was mistakes made on the day. It's just ridiculous what happened, really. But there was an emergency button to put the cooling rods all back into the reactor just to stop the reaction. Emergency dunk. which doesn't work, and they haven't told them it doesn't work. It costs too much money to implement it. It's just a switch that doesn't do anything. So that was the bit they wanted to keep quiet. There was also the drama of what happened on the day and incompetence. But again, it's like they don't employ the right people to do it. They employ the everyone gets a chance. It's all fair, equal. Everyone gets the same money, and everyone can do anything. That's the thing, and scientists are kind of, they need them, but they're kind of, don't like you, you're an expert. We've had enough of experts. I think that's accurate. That seems accurate to me. Plus, you have to remember, you can go there. You can go to Chernobyl. Terrifying stuff. Because when it exploded, because it wasn't. They did avoid a meltdown. That was like a few days later, but it did explode. It wasn't an explosion. That's the problem. So it was all open and it was just coming out. And the roof was made of graphite. Because the idea is you're supposed to build it so it's self-contained, and if it explodes, it's not just going to come out. But the graphite in the roof obviously took the full front of the explosion and came out and landed on the other side parts of the roof. So to cover it, basically, they had to get the graphite back inside. So there's no way to do it other than to push the graphite back inside the reactor and then put a roof on it. So they tried a robot, which is 1986,
Yeah.
And apparently they had to get a West German robot. They weren't going to get an American robot or whatever, So it had to be a West. So you imagine that conversation, and all that. But the robot basically died from the radiation. Basically, it lasted a couple of minutes and then just stopped. So what they had to do, they got thousands of people, thousands of radiation suits, thousands of spades. Each person had 90 seconds to run on the roof and chuck the stuff back in. I mean, bloody hell,
Did they get well paid?
I think so, yeah. There was a couple of real heroes. There was some people that they had to turn the water off, and it had to be done manually. Someone had to walk underneath in the water and manually turn this thing off. And they sent these 3 divers, and they did it, and they did get out again. I think one of them's still alive, and they did suffer from the radiation, but they didn't die straight away. The worst thing is on the day when it's a fire. So the fire engines came to put the fire out. And as we now know, there's a bit of ground you can't go to, it's just grass. That's where they buried the fire engines. They had to bury them because they're radioactive, and obviously all the firemen died in a couple of weeks. Yeah, and that's the really scary horror bit. That is, yeah, really horrible. So it is worth watching, but be aware, and don't you can't binge it. You can't binge 6 hours of that. It'd be suicidal.
Too much grimness.
Oh god. Because I hate disaster movies. I think it's a load of crap. And it's like, oh, I've got to get back to my sweetheart back home. Well, you're going to die, and all that. But this is real. It's actually real, and it's horror. It's like a horror film disaster movie, and it actually happened.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I don't think I will watch that.
Well, you still tend to steer clear of horror, don't you? You didn't watch House on Haunted Hill, which is a very different thing, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, basically, Kev, TV gets me down.
Oh, see, the grimness of TV.
TV in general, I just think, wasting my life. Which, that's TV. Okay, maybe it's slightly enjoyable, but...
And then an hour of your life is used up.
Yeah, it's gone.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, you can get that with anything, though, can't you? Reading a book or...
Yeah, I suppose what I think is, for some reason, when I read a book, I feel I'm getting something out of it.
Yeah.
When I watch a TV programme, I don't feel like I am. And that's probably because I've got to the point of saturation on TV.
Yes.
There is nothing new
There's too much.
I can watch.
There is too much, isn't there? That's yeah. I've been watching this guy on YouTube, Steve Shives, if you're interested. He's really good. Star Trek guy. Talks about various, how Lieutenant Barclay is actually a hero. Videos like that kind of thing, of Star Trek. And it was interesting how he was saying about how TV was very different then, in that there's certain things it wouldn't be that. You would never just kill people off randomly, and TV is much more horrible now than it was then. There were things that were generally episodic, so it would all return to normal at the end of the episode. That would be a normal TV series. Now you don't do that. You've got a story arc, and anything can happen, and it's going to be horrible. It's going to be as cheerful as EastEnders.
Lovely jubbly.
It made me want to watch DS9 actually, because that's the one I did watch it, but not as religiously as Next Generation.
I watched DS9 pretty religiously actually.
That's the proper character driven one, isn't it? So it's probably aged better. I mean, I don't think TNG is aged as well as we would like.
And
I
Voyager, I could never get into it.
Yeah, boring.
Anyway, should we review some albums?
Let's review some albums.